Welcome to the Awakening podcast, where we have truth tellers and not whistleblowers, where we have facts and not conspiracy theorists, and we have a podcast with solutions. My guest today is a nice friend of mine from Italy, and he's the CEO and founder of the ReGen Future Capital. He's Future Companies, is a serial entrepreneur of investment in renewables. Please welcome Riccardo Segat.
Thank you, Roy, for inviting me.
So first, I'd like to discuss, you speak 4 languages.
Well, yes, I think at a different level, but originally I'm Italian, that's my mother tongue. And then English, French, and Spanish. Probably my Spanish not as good as my English and my French, but yeah, I like languages. I like being able to connect with people locally in their own language. I wish I could speak more, but I think that's good enough for today.
And have they helped you in your business, the fact that you're able to connect with people with the different languages?
Yeah, I think enormously, because being Italian, have the, wanting to really do business internationally, we have to, learn English. I learned French first because I had some family that was from, Belgium. And so I learned that, and then I learned at school. And, Spanish was very similar. My sister was living in Spain, and I used to go and see her. And that's how I learned my, my Spanish. So, they're very, very useful and very important to connect with people in their local language, or at least with a language that is international. So I wouldn't be able to do business internationally without at least English.
Very good. And you've sold some companies, some big companies, but you've always kind of been in the renewable energy and sustain. You might tell us about some of the companies and how you got involved and grew them.
Yeah, I first started with 10 years of corporate experience in different companies. Most of them were Americans. I started Merrill Lynch and then G Capital. And then I worked for, private equity funds in London, Compass Partners and Henderson Global Investors. And Henderson was a subsidiary of AMP, the large Australian insurance company. And, to be able to do business at that level, I had to learn, English. And then I would say after 10 years of corporate experience, I really wanted to throw myself into the entrepreneurial world. I wanted to try to do, at the beginning, I said I prefer to do something small, but something where I have an impact, something that I can feel like I'm building, I'm building a business for myself. And then, I basically put into practice what I learned into these, big companies. And I basically built and sold 4 businesses. In some I was more involved than in others, but it was in, sort of different sectors, from industrial filtration to wastewater to wind development. And the last one was Amplio Solar, which was a local developer in Italy of a solar energy plant that I basically took as a starting point to build a completely new concept, to move from a linear concept to a circular business, and which is really what is needed, I believe, to find a solution for climate change. And I can expand a little bit more later if you want.
No, of course, definitely. Yeah, I like that. And like with the solar, you grew the solar business fairly big, yeah?
We initially started as a local developer in Italy. Then we wanted to leverage the experience of the team into an international platform. So as we change also the format of our business from a regional developer into a developer of climate change solutions, we basically ramped up the development pipeline. We changed focus in areas where it was possible to really build pipelines of solar plants that were scalable. So we are now present in Brazil and Denmark. In Brazil, we have 6 gigawatt of plants in development, and in Denmark, in excess of 1 gigawatt of plants. So I would say this is just a starting point, because as part of the solution that we are proposing, we want to invest half of those dividends into regenerating natural resources, natural capital. And so half of the dividends of these plants will go into regeneration of our soil, forest, and oceans. And you know, the remaining half will basically create new areas, new business. We call this an investment loop. It's one ecosystem helping the other, and they all work together. Really on a connected basis, because really that's how nature think, you know. And if you want to resolve this problem, we need to start from a rethinking process. And the rethinking process is to really try to mirror what nature does. And we need to move away from linear businesses, and we need to move on businesses that are, you know, more circular, you know. And we say that our investment loop is a transition to a circular economy, which at the moment looks really far, but can be achieved by transitioning through an investment loop, you know. And again, it's an ecosystem that has got a good, strong financial and total return, that has invested part of the money into an ecosystem, which is really an ecosystem that most of the time is in our natural capital. And natural capital, again, are forests, soils, and ocean. And, you know, to really help the regeneration of that ecosystem. And, you know, to us, you know, we are happy with a lower return in the first loop. And then we give back to nature. It's a way to give back to nature effectively, that would allow us to recreate a balance, you know, an harmony between humanity and nature. And I think that is what we're trying to do, is to recreate that. ReGen Future Capital is not a linear business, it's a circular business. It's a non-for-profit and limited by share based in the UK. And it creates a closed, you know, a closed loop. And so all the money that goes into ReGen Future Capital is invested into solar, is invested into regeneration, and in emerging technologies as well. And it basically creates almost like a new little world, you know. It's a new business, circular business, and that's really what we're trying to, you know, to achieve. And solar is part of this. Solar is definitely part of this.
Excellent. No, I mean, that's something that the world needs. And are you facing competition, or is there anybody that's attacking you from what you're trying to do, because it's kind of against current models?
Well, it's not really against the current model. It sort of, it takes current models and it links them together, creating a circle. Yeah. So frankly, I don't see much of a competition at the moment. And in our, let's say, ReGen world, we don't see competition, we see collaboration. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, I think what we all want, right, is for this planet for humanity to thrive and to, you know, to survive, you know, in harmony with nature. And you know, that is really what we need to accomplish more than making money, right? Because what's the point in making money if there is no planet, if there is no, you know, if there is no future for humanity, you know? And so I think what we really seek is to create that harmony, and making money is a secondary thought, you know. And clearly, of course, all these technologies that we are rolling out, they will all make money. And but it's making money is basically the result of an intent. yeah, of an initial intent that is to create the harmony, and it's not the objective. Yeah, it's not. We want to maximize the buck because I want to take it home, and if I wanted to do that, then I would have ReGen Future Capital just as a limited company, and whatever dividends or equity value I would take for me and maybe a few of the colleagues that are helping me building this. But that's not the case. I mean, it's a closed loop where the income and the profits are basically going to the benefits of everybody that is part of the system. Yeah. And so this is why we say that we are working really for people, planet, and profit. And profit is one element, and people and planet are also as important as profit. And so, we need to remember that we need to maximize a multidimensional return, not just a financial return. And when we do that, then we achieve balance. We achieve harmony. And
you've
that's
raised
why,
a lot as well, yeah. You've
well,
raised.
we are in the process. As you said, it's a new concept, so it has been a bit of a struggle on the way. I had to sell everything I had to put, including my electric scooter and and my watches and all the bits that I had to really try to, it's a dream, it's one of those things. And so I said, it's not we're not trying to create a new Microsoft or a new Amazon. We're trying to create a new system, a different paradigm. And so, like every dreamer, you just go and put everything you have into what you believe in, right?
Yeah.
And that this is the pure definition of an entrepreneur. You got a dream, you got a vision, you put everything you have in it. You got plenty of examples, out there of people that have done that. I'm not the only one. And, yeah, we'll see. And we are just about now in the process of signing an agreement that will generate a trading profit that will allow us to start scaling up these new concept. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And I hope that will come true, because if that happens, clearly we can really start ramping up and bringing ReGen Future Capital to the world. And as I said, whatever profit or money I'm making, I'm leaving it in. I will take a compensation as a director, but for me, it's more important to leave a legacy for future generation. So it's almost like I'm whatever profit I'm making will stay into the system, and it's a gift to future generation. It's a gift to the youngsters, it's a gift to my kids. It's and it's it's something that will give me fulfillment. In the past, I had money, but that didn't really give me fulfillment. The opposite. It left me pretty empty. You know my story. I went through also, addiction and all of that. But it was all these evolution, all these change, all these breakdown that brought me through the, really brought me to the breakthrough. They really made me see the light that you see on the back of my shoulders to find something new, right?
But I mean, that's something to get up in the morning. I think you bounce out of bed with a mission like that.
I'm super excited. I have my CFO, Joanne, and she always needs to keep me down. Yeah, Riccardo, you're doing too much. But it's exciting. It's exciting. It's my purpose. It's really what I really discover my purpose through all this process, and I I'm very I'm just very excited every day as I get up, and and joyful. And my personal life and my business life they're now coming together. I live my purpose, and when you do that, business and personal, they align. They are the same. The day goes like this, and you don't realize it. And of course, we all go through the struggle of everyday's life. I mean, some days are easier, some days are not as easy, and they're difficult. But that's life, and it's normal. And So yeah, I'm very excited. I am really hoping that we'll be given the chance, over the next few months to start rolling this out. And
they're huge projects. I mean, people don't realize. Did you say 6 gigawatt?
yeah, I mean,
I mean, maybe you can explain, because a lot of people wouldn't even realize. Some people might think that just runs a house, but 6 gigawatt is massive.
yeah, 6 gigawatt is a lot. I agree with you, but it's also a lot what we need to accomplish. Yeah, so we need to be consistent with that, and so we need we don't have to be shy. Numbers is just a series of zeros where at some point there is another digit, and it's energy, and we just need a lot of energy to sort out what has been done over the last years, and probably since the Industrial Revolution, I would say. And the damage has been big, and we need to sort it out. So I think this is why we need big projects. We need a lot of income. We need a lot of dividends, and so we need to be consistent with our mission, and as a result, we need to scale up. Yeah, and 6 gigawatt in Brazil, just to give you an idea, the cost would be 4.5 billion euros approximately. So we're gonna try to raise a mix of debt and equity to really bring these to construction and operation. That will probably give us around 300 million. Half of that we will invest for 30 years into the Amazon. And so again, it's another 4.5 billion of money that will go into the Amazon. And again, this is another thing is the carbon credit industry at the moment is not where it's supposed to be. It's not making money, really. It's not efficient, it's not transparent, it's not a lot of things. Well, we don't care. I mean, we're just gonna do it.
You might explain that to the audience, that what the carbon credit is.
Carbon credit basically is an instrument that fundamentally identify 1 ton of CO2 that a tree or the soil is able to sequestrate. I'm just going to try to keep it simple. So when you're regenerating or protecting a forest, you have a possibility to calculate the amount of CO2 that forest or that tree that you're planting is able to sequestrate. And so 1 ton of that is 1 carbon credit. And you got different regimes that are in, at the moment, that are, that have been put in place. However, some of these are not very clear. In some situations, some of the carbon credit, like in Brazil, cannot be sold abroad. So the liquidity is very low. I think overall there is a lack of transparency in that industry. And so what we're doing is we are putting together a platform that has a blockchain solution. And blockchain is a distributed ledger. It basically allows that transparency to really come to fruition, and with 3 different verification agents. And I think by providing that transparency, we eliminate all sort of intermediaries in the middle. And so we allow the final corporate to basically get the carbon credit straight from the project owner. And so, fundamentally, so we are disintermediating that process. We are putting everything on a ledger, which will provide an automatic verification process, which gives credibility to that carbon credit that comes to existence, right? So this is how we're going to create, sorry, I got a few slides here. That comes, it allows that carbon credit to be credible. And so we're going to try to develop a number of different programs in different parts of the world. Brazil is one, most likely on a voluntary basis. And we're going to start, putting that on this blockchain platform, this registry that we are creating. Hopefully from the registry at some point there will be an exchange. you know, and when the market is ready, when the market is more institutional, let's say. But from the registry, we you know, the aim would be to try to create a, I don't know, the Amazon of the carbon credit, you know, a place where all corporates can go and pick different type of carbon credit, you know, knowing that they are safe, knowing that, you know, what they're buying is not, it's not dodgy, it's not, you know, it follows specific procedures, and there is full transparency on what they can buy, you know, because
but they're basically offsetting that from something that they're doing, the emissions they're doing, basically.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how they can offset their emissions, and you know, and it's a beautiful instrument. I think that is a more valid instrument than a carbon tax. You know, where the money goes to the government, and then unfortunately you don't know exactly how that is. You know, governments have got different priorities, and look, I'm very sympathetic with that. I fully understand, but fundamentally then, you know, money can be allocated to, you know, somewhere else. I think carbon credits, it's a private instrument. You know, it's an instrument that use the, you know, a market and between private operators. And I think what we simply need to do is to allow this market to take off, you know, to basically build a mechanism, regardless a little bit of the legislation, but, you know, it's to basically start building it as the legislation will progressively evolve. You know, it's a little bit like, you know, yes, we are making a bet, but as we are building it, then people will start seeing that this is the way, and as a result, they will progressively adapt also their legislation. You know, once you're leading the way, hopefully, then you can get governments and countries and, you know, people to really say, how can we get this better? You know, how can we make this work? And you know, but if there is no force leading that way, this is a bit difficult, right? So we're saying over the long term, we believe that, you know, today's price is around $10 to $15. You know, the carbon credit market has to go up. You know, this is not really a full appreciation of the damage the carbon is basically doing, you know, to our natural ecosystem. You know, the price will be much higher. And if you really account for, you know, everything. And so we believe that the price is probably more in the region of, I don't know, 50, 60, you know, some people are saying even higher. You know, I believe that the World Bank, that's the kind of level that they sort of said I think it was in an article that they sort of put out. But I think, you know, different people can give you different opinion. The volatility of the price at the moment is really high, you know, and so it's a market that is at its inception. You know, it needs somebody to really fuel it and allow it to grow, a bit like a flower. You know, it allows it to grow and bloom, and then, you know, that's when you're gonna start getting momentum, and that's when people. But we have to make a conscious decision to really believe that this is going to happen, you know, and which is a decision that an entrepreneur can do, but not an institutional fund. Yeah. So this is why we are trying to own as much as we can of our plants, of our technologies that are commercially viable, that we are rolling out, because we want to get as much money behind it of our own money. And then once the market is proven and we can show that this is working, then we can bring everybody else in, you know. But at that point, we will have a very interesting position, I believe.
And I could say with the crypto, because I think the crypto is the way forward with the traceability. But like, if you have a crypto that's linked to the fiat currencies, the guys with the printing press can then just buy all the money, and then they kind of control the system. Is there a way of keeping it out of that?
I just want to make sure I understand the question. You're talking about crypto together with the fiat, or crypto?
Yeah, like because you're going to have a crypto system for measuring this carbon print, right? But do people like say invest only in the ReGen, or can they actually buy this crypto?
Okay. Yeah. So the carbon credit will be on a blockchain solution. Yeah. So they will be able to buy that, and you will it will go to offset their emission. That these are the corporates. I mean, in terms of our system, we are putting in our own money. Every profit that we make, also on the trading side, because we're gonna have a trading desk that will basically generate profit from financial instruments, commodities, or electricity. We are basically having a trading strategy, and that trading strategy will generate profit that we were going to put into this. And again, we're going to leave it, for the future. Now, we also, specifically for the projects, are going to bring in institutional investors on a linear basis. Yeah. So they will get paid a coupon, they will get paid an interest or profit share, or whatever they are. So people can participate at our projects, individually, or hopefully in the future they will say, oh, we like to participate in this, maybe through a donation or through some kind of participation, and then they will underwrite some of the shares at the top of the company. Most likely will be non-voting shares. We are going through the process of structuring that, but people can make money out of our system by simply investing in our projects. And this is where we intend to bring in family offices or pension plans, banks.
No, the pension, that's one that I would like. What's your predictions for, your expectation? Because obviously there's a loop. So I presume the first part will be smaller, and then when it comes around, you'll have a bigger investment. Is that kind of how it?
Yeah, I think what we intend to do is to try to use this trading strategy to raise the equity to really start building this system. And then as this is built and it gets de-risked, then we bring in the pension plans or the family offices. We're even thinking about raising a green bond, potentially on our plans. But I would say that the trading money will be used to really get this started, get the ball rolling. And then progressively we'll bring in, and we structure a specific deal for a pipeline of projects for every investors. So also every commercial technology has got a different risk level. So some people may like more solar, some people may like more wind. Other people will prefer, other people are more intrigued by the possibility of transforming plastic into fuel. We're looking also at hydrogen option. The different technology have got different stage of maturity. So depending on the appetite and profile, we can basically propose, an investment program, an investment portfolio. And because we are a developer, we're not a fund, we have that flexibility, right? We have that flexibility of bringing in different investors of different profile in different plans. And that gives us a massive capability of leveraging off and really attracting a lot of capital. This region that today is this big is going to become quite big, and I truly believe it, because we allow, with our, capabilities of structuring different deals for different people to basically gather a lot of capital around this system. And so, clearly today is a bit difficult to see it because we are still very small, but I truly believe that this is going to become, I think, a big system. I wouldn't call it a big company, a new big system. Like a self-sustained economy. And, because in this system, we'll take care of people, we'll take care of the planet, we'll take care, there's a social element to it. We are not just doing it for profit. Some of the things that we will do within the system don't have anything to see with profit. When you invest in learning, when you're investing in, social programs to train people that are jobless to go back into the world, or back into the active economy, that's not for money, right? So, this is what we're here is the bit for the money, the bit that makes money will pay for the bit that doesn't make money. But we need to take care of that as well. We cannot just ignore that. It's part of the same. It's all connected.
Exactly.
And maybe one day we'll be able to quantify also that social part of it. Maybe create a social credit. I don't know, a biodiversity credit. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet.
It's all a learning curve, but I think you're going in the right direction, and it makes so much sense what you've actually created, compared to a lot of the other investments.
I don't know. What I learned is that we can only figure things out one step at a time. We can only strive to become better, not perfect, but better. We can only, try to, do what we can one day at a time. And, and so I don't have an answer. You asking me, what this ReGen Future Capital thing will become? I say, I don't know. I don't know. I know that it's something different. I know that it feels good. And I know that we're trying to create something new. And we have a lot of faith behind it. We have a team of people that are very committed to the mission, and they are very conscious, that are not in just for the money. And look, there is nothing wrong with money. We will make money. I will pay myself a pretty decent, compensation, but all my equity value and all my dividends are basically in the business. They will stay there for my kids, for your kids, for the benefit of everybody, for the benefits of the planet and the people.
And how do you make sure? Because this is beautiful. I know who you are. You're a fantastic father. You're a good man. But how do you make sure that doesn't get in the hands of the wrong people?
I will figure that out also on the way. I don't have an answer for you. We are thinking about using a foundation structure, holding the shares of ReGen Future Capital. I don't know. I think those things, as I go along, I will meet the right people I will feel comfortable, doing this, or leaving them with what we have built. And at the end of the day, we are here just for a limited period of time. You have to trust that this will continue. You have to trust in the people that you leave behind to continue this. This is not a business that I'm going to sell. This is a business that I'm going to leave behind.
I think with the team you inspire anyway, anybody that gets on board this, you're after inspiring them already. And, so you'll find the right people, definitely.
Exactly. We just have to be aligned with the same purpose. Yeah. And I think, I tell you, I saw some really very awakened people, young generation, that are asking so many difficult questions that I have trouble answering sometimes because I'm part of the old generation, and they're better than us. I think in a lot of things.
I think they're way more awake than we've been.
Yeah, and so if we pick a mix of those people, and we will have a lot of young people working with us. Because we are doing it for them. So we want them to get involved at the start, at the outset of this. And, we'll leave it in the hands of these people when the time comes, and trust that the universe is doing the rest. Yeah. I learned that at some point I need to let go. I was such a control freak, on every single aspect. And probably as I'm going to build this, I will still have that, wanting to control, wanting to put my ego into this. And I think at the end of the day, it's, I learned that I need to let go. And, if you want to build such a global organization, I won't be able to control every single bit. And
you can't micromanage this. You have to, just have the people,
no.
trust them and let them off. Yeah.
And this is why it is an organizational model. It is an horizontal model, and it will create satellites of ReGen, in different countries and places, and they will have most likely their autonomy, and they will, with a central, with a central, let's say, direction or guidance. Again, as I told you, you can see that I haven't figured that out completely, but in principle, I think we want to empower communities. We want to empower locals to do their jobs, and I think the central, I would say, the central management will be there just to support, assist, and help, and create some of the services that will be needed at local level to, to do their job. And don't know what they are today, but that's a feeling, it's my intuition. And I'm sure it will change as I go along. So what I know today is that I need to do the podcast with you, and that's what I know. And tomorrow is still far.
Yeah, no, that's the way to do it. We just adjust. We find out what's the next step and just make an adjustment, and we know the next issue. And like you mentioned about the pension, because I know that from when I worked in Ireland, I had a pension fund, and you get the report saying that, oh, it's going to, if it goes up by 8% or 6%, you'll have this. It never does. It's just constantly. So there's just 5% fees that they take out, and they're just eating into it. So for me, if I could invest in something like that makes way more sense. Because at the end of the day, they're just taking your money anyway. And to know that you can invest in something that's actually for the planet makes more sense.
Yeah, I think in our, one thought that I still need to discuss internally is that we set up a pension plan for our employees and colleagues, that will reflect a little bit what we are investing in, and so investing in nature, investing in technologies that are going to clean the planet, and we're probably going to have our own pension plan, which will be a mix of trading, investing in solar, wind, commercial technologies. It will be probably mirroring a little bit of portfolio of what we're trying to create with ReGen. It's too early for me to start putting granularity into this, but I think we'll try to, we'll basically try to use that capital that will circulate to create a pension. Of course, we're going to take care of our people, really well, and I mean they are the one that are making this happen. So I want to make sure that they have a really good pension, that they can, don't have to worry about the future. Again, we are doing it for the future generation. I will be a fool if I'm not taking care of my, my own people. So.
And what kind of roadblocks, like what stumbling blocks trying to achieve what you're doing is happening?
I think there's going to be many. Because clearly when you try to change something, you face the resistance of, what people are used to do. Yeah. So most of the time, people that are not working on themselves, they generally tend to repeat the past, or, so if you come from a family that used to do things in a certain way, because your family basically teaches you to do things in a certain way, you continue to do that. So it's basically a replica of, so, we're basically faced with a lot of that, and I know because I personally had to change, and it was a lot of work. It still is a lot of work. It's at least a couple of hours every day that I'm doing today to really try to rewire my brain. And it's a process. It takes time, So, we will have to, approach this with compassion. We will have to approach this with, a lot of patience and work with people, but not work saying, oh, this is wrong and I'm right, just work by showing them what we do. And it's a model of attraction. It's a model where we say, this is what we're doing. This is what we found. Is there a way that we can try to do what you're doing better, and work with them? So we're not here to create, wars or confrontation. I mean, I think people sometimes will probably react like that to what we're doing. But I think I want to talk, I just want to talk to these people. I just want to see where we can get together. And because fundamentally, I truly believe that change is inevitable. Whatever you say you want, I'm a true believer that, today I believe in a higher power. I believe in a universe, and the universe wants humanity to get better. Yeah. So if we decide that we want to continue to go down, that's okay, but the path is up. So it's our decision when we're going to reverse this path. Yeah. The more we go down, the more pain we're going to experience. As we always say, pain leads to love. So, hopefully we don't have to go into too much pain before we can find love. And, that's, for an entrepreneur that is used to money to talk about all these things, I tell you, I had to learn everything about it because there was nothing in my brain before I started. A steep learning process again. But I think that's basically inevitable. So, companies that are out there that have got a business model that is not working, well, they're going to go on a self-destruction path. I mean, and there is a solution. We can do things differently, but we just need to come out of our brain. We just need to be open and willing to consider other things. The moment we are open and willing to consider other things, that's when the miracles happen. And then that's when we're going to start, thinking about things differently, and, openness, willingness, honesty, and, those are principles that if you're going to start adopting, they will allow us to think differently about the way we're doing things. Yeah. And look, as I said, it's about progress, not perfection. It's about getting on a path. It's about reversing the path and then doing the step at the speed that we can. But what I know is that as the path is in front of us and we're really changing the direction, then I think the universe helps us. Then I think we find love. Love is the universe, and love is, and that is 10 times more powerful than any of us, even all together. I mean, definitely. I mean, I'm this little, even when I'm going to have plenty of money in ReGen, I'm still that little compared to what's out there. And if we only follow the guidance, if you only follow the sign in front of us, if you only awaken, if you only look at what's in front of us, then we find the path. And
where I get inspiration from is when I see people waking up, the awakening, I say, they don't go back. You will never return to your old self. And, that gives me hope for the future because I'm seeing a lot more people that are actually having that shift. Yeah.
And look, I truly believe that corporate that are going to be doing business the old way, they're going to be scared or they feel threatened.
Okay, we've lost our guest. I'm just going to pause till he comes back. So we just had a small technical issue, but we're back. So Riccardo, you might just continue with that statement.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. It's definitely live, as you can see. We were talking about the corporates and the corporate world looking at ReGen Future Capital. What we're saying is that clearly we're not here to be a threat. We are here to work with the corporate world to really try to see if whatever we do can be helpful for them to be really a support and help for change. And so that's basically what I wanted to say to finish the discussion. Clearly we're talking about changing a lot of things. This is not going to happen in a year. It's going to happen over a long period of time. But again, having experienced change myself, it just starts with one person, and if it starts with one person, then suddenly, today it started with me, and then now today we are, 30 people, and it will be more. And
like the ripple effect that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it's the ripple effect, and it doesn't have to be immediate. It's just a question of setting the direction and working towards that direction, together. And also, frankly, there's a lot of the corporates are doing some really good, interesting things, and there's plenty that we can learn as well, and we can adopt from them. So I see the learning process as a two-way, game, and we are open to change. We are changing. We are the change, and we are happy to incorporate a lot of the good stuff that is already out there, and and hopefully we'll help each other improving and setting the right direction. So that's how I see it, at least.
And I think with your banking history as well, it allows you to kind of communicate in the language and the right people, because at the end of the day, the investment bankers and everything there, if they can see this in the right light and start investing in that instead of the alternatives, that's how we get in a big momentum on this.
Yeah, I think I'm lucky because I had a mix of banking, corporate, entrepreneurial experience, and I speak the same language of these corporates. I speak the same language of the entrepreneurs. I understand the language of large investors because I was a private equity investors. So we are selling our plans to pension plans already, and pension plans. People like Partners Group and so we understand all the language, and I think it's a question of trying to set the right frequency and communicating in the same language and move forward together.
I would say like the NGOs, because you're going to work with the different NGOs, yes.
Yeah, and I think that is also a different language.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to ask you about, because not all of them are good, basically, and that how will you determine the right ones to work with?
But you see, that is the perfect example of, and thank you for mentioning it, because that is a perfect example of something that I did that I was completely unaware of, or didn't know much about NGOs. And I realized when I started looking at regeneration, for example, in this, some of these NGOs, specifically, I met a group called Kiss the Ground in California. I started learning what soil regeneration meant, and still today I have some, basic understanding, but, through the experience and through knowing these people, I start incorporating new elements in my knowledge, and I'm learning from them, and hopefully they learn from me. And again, the result is beautiful because we are able to combine both skills, and that's how our initial work with them has really resulted into really imagining a carbon credit that could work for the soil regeneration. So, soil regeneration is the second largest cause of emission. It's enormous, and there is really no capital, very little, and the work that we need to do there it's big. And so we need to invent, a way. And in that case, it's all about going back to the past, going back to what we used to do in agriculture, in farming. Because at the moment, what is happening is that, the current model is not really working. It's not working anymore. It's not basically producing the yield that it's supposed to do because of the use of genetically modified seeds and chemicals. Now, I'm not going to point fingers to the guys that are, oh, you corporates, you this, you bad, because you want to make money. It just worked in the past, and that's how we did things in the past, but it's not what we should be doing in the future, and so it's a bit of, it's a bit of the decision of these corporates to basically embrace an inevitable change.
Yeah. And I think everyone is more conscious, and the beauty is, even with the corporations, there's people inside that want the change, and they're putting pressure as well. So there's no longer a case if they can ignore the people inside in the company.
Yeah, and shareholders are adopting a lot of ESG policies, so they want to see results in that direction. They want to see transparency, they want to see honesty, they want to see, all of that, and they want to see a model that is regenerative, a model that, has got a positive social impact. They don't want to see farmers sitting on the farms with the desert in front of them. They don't want to see farmers getting to a point where the only option left is suicide. I'm sure that, corporates are made by people. People have feelings. And, I truly believe that even the large corporates that are now going in a direction that is not working anymore, they know inside that that's what is needed, so we just need to leave behind the fear of change and adopt a new model progressively, little by little, step at a time. And, and together try to understand each other and work through the timing, the areas, the solutions that are available, so that, we are progressively repositioning, even if it is a big company, we are progressively repositioning a model that is an old model. And there shouldn't be fear in people to do that, because it's part of the evolution, and it will take care of itself. It will create new opportunities, new jobs, new areas that we still cannot see possibly, but it's inevitable. So if you need to experience more pain, well then, that's it, fine. But that pain will always take us to the same place, which is basically a model that works, which is a model that is in line with love. It's a model that is in line with nature and the people that are part of it. That's what we're gonna try to do. It's a lot of work. It requires a lot of compassion, a lot of understanding, and we're not gonna be pointing fingers. I personally remember I was one of those people on a personal level that clearly was doing, very well on a personal life, and and pointing fingers didn't really help. And so I remember that compassion and understanding, acceptance, all of these things really helped, and I managed to change. And so it's all possible. We just need to believe it. And I think the mind has an incredible power, because also the mind affects the heart, and they all work together. And so if the mind follows a little bit more the heart, usually the outcome is better.
No, and I totally agree with what you're saying. The art of forgiveness, don't go up for attack. And I think the model that you're doing is beautiful. And the person that's driving it, I know is the right man to do it, because I know you personally, which makes it better. And I know that, you really, truly care. And that's inspiring to see. And I hope a lot of people get on board this, to actually not make it that it takes X amount of years, but that we can multiply it to make it a lot faster, to even, to make it better for everybody.
It will take time. It's inevitable, but we just need to work together. That's all.
Yeah. Listen, it's been fantastic. I really appreciate your time. So how can people get in contact with you?
Well, I think on our website, there is a link where they can contact via email at an info address, info@regenfuturecapital.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn personally, and also there's a company link. And, we are open for business. So we are delighted to hear new ideas, new solutions, new technologies. And again, as I said it before, we need to do it together because for humanity to survive, we need to reconnect with nature.
Definitely.
So thank you for giving me the space, Roy. I appreciate very much. And I hope we can continue. I hope next time that I will be on this, I will be able to tell you about the things that we've done rather than the things that we're going to do.
No, definitely. We're definitely going to have a part 2 to this, of the different stages. And we let people updated on what's happening. Thank you very much, Riccardo.
Okay. Thank you, Roy.
So that's all for the Awakening podcast. You can find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. We also are on YouTube and BitChute, so be sure to give us a thumbs up. And on the podcast, give us a 5-star rating, share with your friends. And until next week, take care.